Are medical billing and coding schools worth it? Well, whether you want to get into healthcare or you're already in healthcare and just looking for a change, this video is for you. I'm Victoria. I'm a medical coder, auditor, educator, and content creator, and on my channel, I provide tips, tricks, and tutorials to help you be successful in a medical coding career. So who exactly should be looking into going to a medical billing and coding school? Well, if you're someone who is detail-oriented, you want to work in healthcare, but you don't want to work directly with patients, you want to work remotely and have lots of options and lots of growth opportunity, this could be a good fit. In order to provide good healthcare, we have to have all of the money coming in appropriately, and that's where billers and coders come into play. We make sure that all of the diagnoses, all the procedures and services are accurately captured, not just for all of the data collection that we have to do, but also to bill everything out and get hopefully reimbursed as much as we can from the insurance companies. Medical billing and coding are two sides of the same coin. Coding is really looking at all of those diagnoses, services, reasons for healthcare encounters, and converting them into alphanumeric codes so that they can be used for better data collection and analytics, whereas billing is then taking all of that information and putting it onto a claim form and then tracking it, making sure that it's going to the right person or insurance company to get reimbursed and that it's getting reimbursed at the right rate and within a certain amount of time. Now, you may be someone who's working in a different field. You might be in retail, you might be in administration, you might be a teacher. We see a lot of people that are teachers who have done very well in medical coding, and you're thinking like, is this going to be a decent career switch? In many cases, it absolutely can be, although if you're coming from a position that is a little bit higher to start out, like nurses start out very high, and a lot of nurses are like, hey, I want to stay in healthcare and still use my skills, but I don't want to do patient care anymore. You might be seeing a pay cut then coming into coding, but there's a lot of opportunity to grow pretty rapidly after that. If you're coming from a different industry, like if you're coming from retail or you're coming from customer service, there's a lot of growth opportunity here. There's a lot of opportunity to work remotely, work a little bit more independently, but that comes with a lot of things, a lot of continuing education. You have to really be involved in the field and continual learning and continual changes. But once you get in and you get a little bit of experience, there is amazing job stability. There's a lot of growth potential. You can go from coding in urology to coding in oncology to coding in OBGYN. There's lots of different specialties. Some of them are more complicated, so they pay more. You could go into compliance after that. You could go into auditing. There's a lot of different areas to go to, and the demand keeps growing because of the massive amount of healthcare consumption. Now let's talk about the types of training available. Now, if you want to self-study, it's not for everyone, but I do have videos that I will link at the end of this video on how to self-study. You can also click the little eye icon up there and it will take you to that video, but that's not for everyone. I feel like self-study is kind of a little bit better if someone who is already in healthcare has MedTerm, they know a little bit of insurance, they know a little bit of electronic health records. So if you've already got a good foundation, self-study is probably a good option. It's usually not as good of a fit for someone who's transitioning from another industry, only because even though what employers are looking for is that CPC certification, it looks a lot better on a resume if you've had some sort of formal training. So while you can self-study and you can get a CPC certification, for example, without having gone through a formal program, it can cause some roadblocks then when you're actually applying for jobs. So there's a lot of options out there. There's self-study, there's career schools, there's colleges, there's independent programs, there's the myriad of things out there, little boot camps, so how do you know what is the right option for you? And here's the deal. For medical billing and coding, especially medical billing, you really don't need a college degree. You just need the right training and the right certificate. The gold standard is typically the CPC, unless you happen to know that you specifically want to code for facility reimbursement, for inpatient facility reimbursement for long hospital stays. Most people just go for the CPC. So that's a really good one that you're like, I know there's all these credentials. I don't know, just like the CPC is good. There's other ones out there that educational institutions will say, hey, we'll include this as part of our course, which are fine, but they're only covered in like little pockets of areas. The CPC is like a good blanket coverage. And it really is truly a certification, like going out and getting Microsoft certified. It's not like a license. There's no government tracking of medical coding certifications. There's no databases, no licenses that, it's in there and the government's watching and making sure and doing all kinds of checks. Like it really is just like a certification and that's it. So it's good for whoever accepts it. There's no state variances or anything like that. The CPC certification opens up a lot of better opportunities for pay in medical coding positions. Oftentimes for medical billing, you don't necessarily need a certification. You just need the right training. But for medical coding, they want to see a certification to demonstrate that you have passed at a certain level of proficiency and examination. And according to some of the statistics from the AAPC, coders who are certified and have their CPC earn more than those who do not have their CPC. And it gives you pretty good flexibility. So you can work in doctor's offices, you can work for large healthcare institutions, you can code for hospitals, you can code for providers for the ones that are seeing patients in the hospital, you can work for insurance companies, you can work for vendors. There's lots of opportunities out there. So it really is a good investment if you're serious about being involved in this career. So you're probably wondering, like, where do I get started? Like, what is a reliable place to get my training? You can get training directly from the AAPC for the CPC certification at aapc.com. You can check your local tech schools. You can check some of your colleges because sometimes they do have diploma programs. But one place that has really stood out to me is called Preppy. They have medical billing and coding training that is specifically designed to get you ready for your certification quickly and affordably. The courses are flexible, they're taught online, they are on demand, you can do them at your own pace, and they're taught by amazing instructors, and they know what it takes to succeed in this field. And they have amazing student support, which is one of the big reasons that I recommend people go to them. The other one is their externship program. You really don't find a lot of places that have externship programs as part of their curriculum. So if you're ready to dive in, you have to do your research though, but I have a free career masterclass that you can sign up for as well. And you can find out everything you need to know about the career and then the programs that I recommend as well. So if you head to medicalcodingmasterclass.com, you can sign up for free right there. Okay, so let's get to just the big question, like, is it worth it? So if you're someone who's really ready to dive in, you want to take this seriously, you're looking for a good career change, you're ready to commit, this could be a good opportunity for you. It is a solid, well-paying career choice. There's lots of opportunity to work in different environments, to work remotely, but with any career path, it's all about finding the right training, getting the right certifications, and having a good strategy about finding a job afterwards. You can't just take your old mediocre resume and just slap the word CPC on it and expect employers to just kind of bow down and start offering you jobs. There's also cost to consider. There's some great affordable programs out there, but there's also some that are overly expensive. I would not recommend spending more than a couple $1,000s on training, but there are programs out there that I've seen that are charging $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for career training. And really it should not cost that much unless you're getting like an associate's degree at the end of it, which in some cases you might want if you want to get into like registry coding, or if you want to go potentially into administration or management, then you might want your associate's degree. But if you're like, I just want a medical billing and coding type of job, you just need the right training and certification. And of course, there's things on the opposite end of the spectrum. There are these cheap ones that are like $100 and they are super low cost, super cheap, garbage, out of date, or they're just not good content. The audio is terrible. They're just reading through slides. You can't understand people. They're not engaging. It's like the old saying, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. And if you go to an employer and they're like, yeah, I just went to this $20 course and learned medical coding, I got a Groupon, they might not respect that as much. Now, as far as personal recommendations, I really don't want to say things specifically about specific programs because I don't want anything to kind of come back at me. But if you have general questions about medical billing and coding training, definitely let me know in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next video. And until then, just keep on coding on.